Hello students, once again welcome to my YouTube channel. I am your English teacher. We are going to read another lesson from your NCERT English textbook, Honeycomb. And the title of the lesson is The Inventions of Vita Wonk. Lesson number 7. Before we read the lessons, let's check out these questions. Who are the oldest people you know? What are the oldest things you have in your house? In your city, town, or village? How old are they? Have you ever wished that you were older? Have you wished that you could grow up in a hurry? So these are the questions we have to keep in mind and think about. Let's check it out. After reading the lessons, what are the significance of these questions? And how are they related with the lessons? The Inventions of Vita Wonk. Mr. Willy Wonka begins by inventing Wonka Wheat, which makes people younger. But Wonka Wheat is too strong, so some people disappeared because their age becomes minus. One person actually becomes minus 87, which means he has got to wait 87 years before he can come back. Mr. Willy Wonka must invent a new thing. Mr. Wonka said. So once again I rolled up my sleeves and set to work. Once again I squeezed my brain searching for the new recipe. I had to create age to make people oldest. Haha, I cried. For now the ideas were beginning to come. What is the oldest living things in the world? What lives longer than anything else? A tree, Charlie said. Right, you are Charlie. But what kind of a tree? Not the Douglas fir, not the oak, not the cedar. No, my boy. It is a tree called the bristlecone pine that grows upon the slopes of Willow Peak in Nevada, USA. You can find bristlecone pines on Willow Peak today that are over 4,000 years old. This is fact, Charlie. Ask any dendrochronologist. Dendrochronologist. It is quite a mouthful, even for me. Let's try it again. Dendrochronologist. You like, and look that word up in the dictionary when you get home, will you please? So that started me off. I jumped into the great glass elevator and rushed all over the world collecting special items from the oldest living things. A pint of sap from a 4,000-year-old bristlecone pine, the toenail clippings from a 168-year-old Russian farmer called Petrovich Grigorovich, an egg laid by a 200-year-old tortoise belonging to the king of Tonga, the tail of a 51-year-old horse in Arabia, the whiskers of a 36-year-old cat called Crumpets, an old flea which had lived on crumpets for 36 years, the tail of a 207-year-old giant rat from Tibet, the black teeth of a 97-year-old grimalkin living in a cave on Mount Popocatépetl, the knuckle bones of a 700 years old cataloo from Peru. Comprehension check. Choose the right answer. Mr. Willy Wonka is a cook, an inventor, a manager. What do you think? Wonka Wheat makes people older or younger? Mr. Wonka wants to invent a new thing which will make people younger or older. Can anyone's age be a minus number? What does minus 87 mean? Mr. Wonka begins by asking himself two questions. What are they? What is dash? What lives dash? Now let's continue. Part 2 of the lessons story. All over the world, Charlie, Mr. Wonka went on. I tracked down very old ancient animals and took an important little bit of something from each one of them, a hair or an eyebrow or something. It was no more than an ounce or two of the jam scraped from between its toes while it was sleeping. I tracked down the whistle pig, the bobolink, the shrock, the polyfrog, the giant curlicue, the stinging slug, and the venomous squircle who can spit poison right into your eyes from 50 yards away. But there's no time to tell you about them all now. Charlie, let me just say quickly that in the end, after lots of boiling and bubbling and mixing and testing in my inventing room, I produced one tiny cupful of oily black liquid and gave 4 drops of it to a brave 20-year-old Ompa Lompa, a volunteer, to see what happened. What did happen? Charlie asked. It was fantastic, cried Mr. Wonka. The moment he swallowed it, he began wrinkling and shriveling up all over, and his hair started dropping off, and his teeth started falling out, and before I knew it, he had suddenly become an old fellow of 75. And thus, my dear Charlie, was Vita Wonk invented. Roald Dahl from Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator. Let's check the word meanings. Track down, found by searching for it. Flea, a small insect living on the skin of animals for their blood. Pine, an evergreen tree with needle-shaped leaves and cones. Cedar, an evergreen tree with hard, red, sweet-smelling wood used for making boxes, pencils, fences, etc. Oak, a family of large trees with a hard wood. The Sinar in Kashmir is a kind of oak tree. Fir, a tree with needle-like leaves and cones. Recipe, instructions for making something. Set to work, begin to walk. Now let's check out the exercises. Working with the text. What trees does Mr. Wonka mention? Which tree does he say lives the longest? How long does this tree live? Where can you find it? How many of the oldest living things can you remember from Mr. Wonka's list? Don't look back at the story. Do you think all these things really exist, or are some of them purely imaginary? You have to give it a thought and give your opinion honestly. Why does Mr. Wonka collect items from the oldest things? Do you think this is the right way to begin his invention? What happens to the volunteer who swallows 4 drops of the new invention? What is the name of the invention? Now, working with language. What do you call these insects in your language? Cockroach, mosquito, grasshopper, housefly, dragonfly, ant. Try this, very easy. How do these insects affect your health? Have a discussion in the class. Fill in the blanks in the recipe given below with words from the box. Ingredients: easy dal palak, So you have been provided with a recipe to make palak dal. You have to fill in the blanks using this recipe. This will be fun. You can try this. A family tree is a diagram that shows the relationship between the different members of a family. Fill in the family tree below with names, ages, and other details you think are relevant. You may even stick photographs. If you have them, put your family trees up in the class. You can try this and put up your family trees after writing them on a chart paper in your study room. Here you haven't given with a chart. See? Speaking. Using do for emphasis, Charlie asked, "What did happen?" This is a way of asking the questions, "What happened?" with emphasis. Given below are a few emphatic utterances. Say them to your partner. Let your partner repeat your utterance without the emphasis. Your partner may also add something to show she or he disagree with you. I did study. You studied? I don't believe you. Look at your marks. I did go there. You went there. Then I do play games. You have to try this. Writing. Make a list of the trees Mr. Wonka mentions. Where do these trees grow? Try to find out from an encyclopedia. Write a short paragraph about 2 or 3 of these trees. Name some large trees commonly found in your area. Find out something about them. How old are they? Who planted them? Do birds eat their fruits? And write 2 or 3 sentences about each of them. 2. Find out something interesting about age or growing old and write a paragraph about it. Following are a few topics suggested as examples. The age profile of the country's population. Does it have more young people than old people, or vice versa? What are the consequences of this? How can we tell how old a tree, a horse, or a rock is? What is the life expectancy of various living things and various population? How long can they reasonably expect to live? Delivery delayed. When the postman arrived at the Roy household to deliver the mail, he was surprised to find a new vicious dog. The dog was fastened to a tree by a leash just long enough to reach the front door. The dog growled and bared its teeth, but the postman managed to outwit the dog and reach the front door safely. How? Answer on page 1, number 125. Number 125. Okay. You have to relate this paragraph with page number 125. Now students, let me summarize the whole lesson for you. The Inventions of Vita Wonk is a funny story. It is in fact a science fiction written by Roald Dahl. The Inventions of Vita Wonk is a story which talks about the various inventions created by an imaginative scientist named Mr. Willy Wonka. Wonka Wheat was a drug created by Mr. Willy Wonka that could make people younger. However, this drug was so strong that it could make people young to an extent that they could even disappear by the reversal of their age in minus. Therefore, Mr. Wonka had to invent a new medicine He began by thinking of the oldest living thing in the world, the thing that had lived longer than anything else. He came to the conclusion that the bristlecone pines had lived longer than anything else. After collecting materials from the oldest tree, he began by collecting special items from the oldest living things of the world to develop the new medicine. He tracked down very old animals. He took a little bit of different things from many old things to make the new medicine that would make the young old. After a long process of boiling, bubbling, mixing, and testing, he produced a small quantity of oily black liquid. He gave 4 drops of it to a 20-year-old volunteer, Ompa Lumpa. On taking the medicine, Ompa Lumpa began to wrinkle. His hair started to fall off. His teeth too started falling out. In no time, he became an old man of 75. It was the result of the new inventions of Mr. Willy Wonka, which came to be known as Vita Wonk. Mr. Wonka mentioned in the story in the lesson Douglas Fir, Oak and Cedar Tree. According to him, bristlecone pine lives the longest. Bristlecone pine tree can live for more than 4,000 years. It is found on the slopes of Wheeler Peak in Nevada, USA. Mr. Wonka collected items from the oldest things to invent a new medicine that would make the young old. And the name of the medicine is Vita Wonk. After taking 4 drops of the new medicine, the volunteer Ompa Lumpa begins wrinkling. His hair starts dropping off. His teeth start falling out. He suddenly becomes an old man of 75. We should remember the name of the new medicine, which is a wonderful invention, Vita Wonk. Wonka Wheat is the first invention of Willy Wonka. And the effect of Wonka's invention is that it makes people younger. Some people completely disappeared because of Wonka Wheat as their age went into minus. A person had to wait 87 years before he could come back due to the side effect of Wonka Wheat.